All right, peace and love, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, please like and subscribe. And I'm your host, Queen Tamara, and welcome on this Monday, Moon Day, in the Healing Cypher. So tonight we are exploring the concept of Kundalini and how it can help us with our own transformation and our own healing journeys. So tonight, please welcome me. Join me in welcoming our beloved guest, Queen Aqueene Simran. Yay!
Yay.
Welcome,
Stop now.
welcome, sis. How are
Thank you,
you?
sis.
Welcome.
I'm good. I'm having a lot of parts that are moving, but I'm always going back to that Kundalini every time. So it's very interesting, and I'm so
Mhm,
grateful. Thank you for having me to build on such a topic because this is like
mhm.
my first language. So I'm doing
Mm,
very beautiful because of it. It ain't easy out here. We know this, so these
uh-huh.
technologies are important.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank
Mm,
you for it's a pleasure, all mine too, to have you on the show because this is our first time actually exploring this topic. So there may be
okay.
some subsequent shows about it, or like follow up, so you can share more of this
Hmm.
divine sacred science with us. But first, let's welcome to the Healing Cipher. I want you to share a little bit about yourself with the listening audience.
Okay. My name is Aqueene Simran Neferatum. I'm a mother of four. As far as Kundalini goes, I've been practicing since I was 18, and I'm
Wow.
45. No, I'm 45, 6. I'm 45 now.
Mhm.
So now I just feel like I also want to share that I did get uh, teacher training level one for in
Mhm.
2003, and back then you studied yoga for 1 year as far as
Mhm.
under Kundalini.
Okay.
And so I studied in an ashram for 1 year in Texas. That wasn't planned. It just kind
Mhm.
of unfolded. Although, when I was practicing when I was 18, my teacher had told me I should become a teacher. And
Mhm.
I was like, I saw that as being far fetched at first. Like, oh, because they only had teacher trainings in New Mexico, and I was living in Los Angeles. So it wasn't common. Kundalini yoga wasn't common at the time.
Right.
Hindsight, it kind of was. It was just like not really out there in the world in
Yes.
studios so much.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll go into the history later, which will like kind of tie my story in.
Mhm.
But so that was in about 1997, that somebody,
Mhm.
my teacher told me try going to the teacher training in New Mexico.
Mhm.
I was like, maybe one day. Ended up in Texas in 2003 and entered the ashram there.
Mhm.
Studied there for 1 year. Like these days, you have 2 hour teacher trainings, so
Mhm.
many hours, and then you get your certificate. But then it was 1 hour of training, learning the body, the anatomy, down to the
Mhm.
cellular, um, the cosmology around it, the
Mhm.
food, the diet, the
Mm.
postures, the Sanskrit. It was so much to it. And then you had to do your 200 hours on top of that,
Oh, I
which
see.
which I took my time to do. I actually asked permission to come back to Los Angeles to do that,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I studied under the Kundalini yoga teacher for my hours with different teachers. So I just went to their classes and kind of was like an understudy of them. And
Mhm.
that's how I did my 200 hours. And then you take a test. And you also
Process.
do practice courses with your teachers, and
Mhm.
they critique you. So it's been a long journey of Kundalini Yoga level one,
Mhm.
and after finishing that in 1 year and like some change and a whole summer, um, I started teaching right away, and I really never stopped teaching. I feel like even when I take breaks,
Mhm.
um, because sometimes I'll take those where it's like I'll do series, so I'm not weekly or I'm not like 3 times a day or three
Mhm.
times a week even. Um, I'm usually still practicing. Um, There's also a level 2 training that I delved in India, in the Himalayas,
Oh, nice.
under the same teacher that I did my hours with in LA. Her name is
Okay.
Gurmukh. Gurmukh Kalkasa. I went to
Oh,
India
I
in
think I
20.
know who she is. I've seen
Oh,
her online and practice with her. Yeah.
yes. She is like one of the first teachers
Mhm.
to come under Yogi Bhajan, who they say he's like the teacher who brought Kundalini to the States. But
Yeah.
for me, as a person of color, also, like, I don't really follow the guidelines of someone owning Kundalini. We'll get into that. But yeah, so then I finished my level 2 teacher training in India in 2019. There's 5 parts to it, and there's a whole mission I'm rallying around to now upholds my teaching credentials that have helped me evolve into now I am a teacher trainer. So
Mhm.
I'll be launching my teacher training this year.
Also, now you're going to teach or train people into Kundalini.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, you might be seeing me in your class because I
Oh,
completed my
perfect.
teacher training in 2017,
Okay.
and I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't Kundalini. But Kundalini Yoga is one of my favorite forms because one of my early teachers what in yoga was Kundalini, and I didn't know what it was at the time. I just took it because when I first moved to the DMV, they were having classes at the Church of the Holy City, and I think they were free back then. So I was
Okay.
like, who gonna pass up a free yoga class? So I went and I took it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the kriyas, the chanting, and at the end,
Yes.
the gong. That was like the
Mm-hmm.
best part. So I was like, I'm gonna do this every chance. So
Right.
I did for years, and then that person left, and so I was. It was hard
Okay.
to find a Kundalini
Right.
yoga teacher, and this is in the early 2000s. Nowadays,
Yes.
um, the internet has brought things closer, so you could find stuff
Right.
online now. But then it was kind of like just looking for someone. But I enjoy the benefits of Kundalini as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
It's
So
pretty
I'm glad you
powerful.
shared that with me. Yeah, it is. It really is. So now,
Mhm.
please share with the listening audience what is Kundalini, because it's a lot of misconceptions out there, and it's a lot of people, who are, sharing things or saying things about Kundalini, what it is, what it isn't. There's a lot of confusion. So what can you share with us? What is Kundalini?
Yes, that's been a journey of mine. First learning, let's just talk about how these books are outdated. But
Mm-hmm.
when I'm studying early 2000s,
I don't know. It's a
it's
slight delay. Can you
this
hear me, sis? Oh,
technology. It
okay.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
it went silent for a few
Mic
minutes and the
check.
screen went black. Okay, I can see
Oh,
you and hear you. Go ahead,
okay.
sister. Continue.
Yeah. Yes. In my studies, I was taught, Kundalini is a form of yoga that holds all the yogas in one. So it's
Mm,
a technology and a form of yoga that has all the yogas within it. And so that I believe stands true. But also, like, the history and the cosmology around, like, who created this, and it came from India. Um, I really love the Himalayas. I really experienced that space and time where people, you always kind of dream of the Himalayas if you took the time to, like, are there really yogis like roaming around just doing yoga all day? And the answer is yes, but it's
mhm.
not exactly how you might think it is, but it is close enough. And we're there really being in devotion to this technology. So Kundalini is yoga is a practice. It's a sacred technology that has been passed down pre-India. Let's talk about that too, because it goes even pre-dynastic. A lot of my research now um, is around where did this come from, and I feel like I needed to do that in order to kind of expand. You're you're redundant if you're just kind of after 20 some years, 25 plus years of doing Kundalini, and you want more answers, and you need to expand. I've learned that this technology has been around for a very long time, and so I feel like new books will be coming. And this is why I'm very eager to have students, because I know they'll surpass me. That's the goal all the time, right? When you have students, is that they can surpass you, because we really are uncovering some beautiful information in this age of Aquarius where nothing will be hidden anymore. But it's definitely a sacred yoga that can transform ailments, can bring your realization to a whole nother level where you're very present. You can heal a lot of things, whether it be physically or spiritually. And in some moments, I have some people that say, oh, some people say I shouldn't do Kundalini because it is that powerful. But, it's kind of that healthy risk that you might want to take, because it is very, powerful when it comes to healing and elevation.
Yes, definitely.
Hmm.
Okay, that's a wonderful answer. Now, can you share with us how Kundalini yoga differs from other forms of yoga?
Okay, yes. So Kundalini yoga is very it has like this divine order. It starts off with tune in chants, and a lot of times I love explaining how in the tune in chants, it first of all it's in Sanskrit, so it has a different tone because the dialect tones are different.
Yeah.
So I explained usually before we open the way with the tune in chant to students, how I remind them about the nervous system. So it works on all the systems, which all the yogas probably do or work on our chi. But with Kundalini is very very specific. So even just opening the way, we start off with the tune in chant, and then we go into warm up pranayama, which is life force energy breath work warm
Yes.
ups, and then it goes into the kriya, which is the group of exercises. And then once we're done with the kriya, sometimes the kriya includes chanting as well. Sometimes after, not sometimes, always after a kriya, there's usually a meditation. And sometimes in that meditation, there includes more chanting. And then after, we usually have a shavasana, which is deep relaxation, lying on your backs, for the most part, is the posture. And then we come back into closing the way, which is like a closing song or mantra or prayer. And that's usually the format of Kundalini yoga. So that's very specific, because not all yogas do that. They don't cover
Yeah.
chanting in some moments. They don't cover certain postures and bandhas, which a bandha is where you're going to hold the breath and send it to a direct space. There's like really direct focusing where you might be doing a certain focus and breath work pattern that's specific for your thyroid. So it's different from other yogas because how it plays out, you almost feel like when I pick a course, sometimes I'll just go on a whim and just open the book, and it's always an alignment of the class. People enjoy that about my classes, where the universe kind of starts speaking back to us and just kind of shows us what we need. If I do choose, and I'll mention this is what we're working on, people come saying, "Wow, I need this." So then I have a group of people that were looking to work on this specific ailment, like even getting down to getting rid of a headache, or for premenstrual cycles, like different ailments that very specified. Kundalini is a little different,
Mm-hmm.
or a lot different. We might say. Hmm.
Yes. Okay. What exactly? Can you share with us the history of Kundalini, like its ancient origins? And
Yes.
Kundalini is more than just yoga, but just the whole the ancient origins of it.
Yes. I was listening to something earlier about it actually because I'm working on a book. I'm working on a book from a brown girl lens from America.
Okay.
From Turtle Island even because
Yes.
I don't really
Oh.
subscribe to that even word America too much. I'm in
Mhm.
it, not of
Right.
it. But I have this comedic science teacher that was breaking down yoga and that word, even, right? That's in the evolution. And before
Mm.
pre dynastic, we were doing rituals, and that's what yoga is. Even that word had a spin on it and it ended up
Mhm.
yoga. But
Mhm.
it's a ritual where you connect with yourself, and it's with your spiritual body and your physical body. And I can't say we do that all the time, right? Even down to
Mhm.
like when people come, I'll say, now you can say you had an inner massage for your organs. Not
Yeah.
many of us can say I done that today,
Mhm.
right? But by showing up, they did that. And
Mhm.
so, for instance, our physical bodies have organs, right?
Mhm.
So they bring order, they help regulate our bodies within
Mhm.
like the physical body. Then there's a spiritual body.
Mhm.
So, like, this is within still the physical body, but it's pointing towards spiritual centers on those organs. We have spiritual
Mhm.
centers. So that is what Kundalini is, this synergy that resides from our root chakra all the way up into our crown. And even
Mhm.
I say these books are outdated because a lot of these books written by Americans are from the 80s,
Mhm.
and they may be just different. So I realized like my heart and my intuition is saying these ways need to be updated, these words, because even my specific uh comedic teacher, peer, brother, he's done a lot of work around this, and I will be citing his research that he's done for years to put in my book because this is not in books around Kundalini and
Mhm.
where it came from. We stop at India in, like, we're talking about, they'll say thousands of years ago, but they don't really ever give us a date,
Mhm.
and we need to know. And I think that's the beauty of the new age, as they call it, but the shift or returning back to where we really came from.
Mhm.
And I'm learning that you're right. This is on the Commission walls in our temples there, and so I feel really connected with knowing that these spiritual components that reside as chi in our body means more than what we were told. So that's to me, and I'm very excited to like be sharing that in an upcoming book from me on my behalf because I don't know any Kundalini yoga books that speak on this history, just
Yes.
like YouTube talks and other metaphysicists talking about it, that we've always kind of had this technology. That's why I say nobody owns Kundalini, because we all have this energy residing in us, but do we know, or do we get to practice activating this energy to, yes, take care of our inner organs or connect to our spiritual selves where we need healing as well. um there's so many things that we can't see, but we know that's there. And Kundalini is one of those things. So there comes a lot of trust with it. But if you go back into etymology or dialects, um, yeah, too bad they don't teach that to our children, I feel like, too, right? Because these
Yeah.
ways, we'd be a force. We'd be on some like superhuman,
Absolutely.
superhero. I really feel this. And
Mhm.
so the school that I'm building for my teacher training as well has been taking me maybe about some years because I want to be so intentional with
Mm-hmm.
uncovering what the reality around Kundalini is and not keep it so surface like they kept it. So that's been interesting. But yeah, how they say no said date, there's no beginning, no end. And
Yeah.
that's how I feel about Kundalini.
Oh, great. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe at the end you could tell us a little bit more about your school. So,
Okay.
what is a Kundalini awakening? Because I hear there's a lot of talk about that, especially in the conscious community. People talk about Kundalini awakening a lot. Can you share with us what is a Kundalini awakening?
Mm-hmm. Shoo, I feel it's interesting to ask me this question because I was just telling a sister I'm doing a 40-day sadhana. So I'm doing the same Kundalini Kriya for 40 the next 40 days. Today started my day 1.
Okay.
She encouraged me cuz she's on her day 10
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "I'm gonna join you." So I joined. But I was telling her that like yeah, these things are just not, certain things haven't been shared, but they're coming. So when it comes to like a Kundalini awakening, I was telling her I've been raised with a lot of spirit,
Mm-hmm.
like spirituality was deep in me growing up. I'm indigenous, so on both sides. So I have a lot of spiritual practices that I grew up with. So yoga made
Give
me feel
thanks.
at home. So
Mm-hmm.
because yoga made me feel at home, I can't, like, pinpointing this Kundalini spiritual awakening, you'll just know in your body. You'll be more present. You'll
Mm-hmm.
be more having more self-awareness. Um and as far as like knowing this, your intuition will naturally build.
Mm.
And these things will just be apparent. It'll be a little confusing. You might seem sluggish because you're in daydreaming about what is this. Um, but you know it's happening, and it also will give you energy. So there's like a lot of ebbs and flows because they say Kundalini yoga replaces sleep. So if you got like 4 hours of sleep, but you do like an hour and a half of yoga, you pretty much have,
Energize.
yes, you added another hour and a half of sleep, good sleep at that, because that's how cleansing and purifying and expanding it is. Where also you'll feel tired though right after, right? So now you're getting extra sleep, or you'll be thirsty,
Mm-hmm.
or very hungry after. So Kundalini Yoga Awakening, there's so many ways of feeling this. Some people might even feel anxious after.
Mm-hmm.
I've had one-on-one students where they're like, I can't leave you for a little bit. They're not well. Or a person might have a deep subconscious memory that they thought they put away. And so they'll start crying. And then I have to tend to them like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
how can I support you? Are you okay? And they'll share that with me. After class, they'll go deeper into the share where they're like, that hasn't came up in like 5-10 years,
Yes.
all these, and I'm like, wow, okay. So there's definitely that, and it's really about your intention of how long you sit.
Mm-hmm.
It works no matter what. It just depends like how deep you want to go in your practice.
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much. That conversation is a whole show in itself. Kundalini Awakenings.
Absolutely. And people don't realize just how powerful yoga is. They think it's just a series of stretching, but it's so much more because, like you said, it's the mind, it's body, it's spirit, it's internal. And a lot of times in yoga practice, people will release things. People will release trauma. People will release stress and tension that they've been holding in their body for long periods of time.
Right.
It's a lot. Spontaneous healing can take place during yoga.
Right.
Seen that happen and experienced it, so it's amazing and powerful.
Yes.
Um, what is the difference between Kundalini energy and the divine feminine energy?
Oh, okay. So Shakti,
Hmm.
also known as Shakti energy, um, a lot of times they talk about Shakti energy being of the Divine Mother, but in actuality, like, we have both energies that reside in us.
Mm-hmm.
And then based on our bodies, then it's like, oh, okay, we're dominant in this realm. But we carry both energies within us because we have our mother and father's chromosomes, but one is more dominant.
Yes.
So it's like basically being able to tap in, let's say, for me, even in Kundalini, let me tell you this, there's a hand posture where you clasp your hands together and they say left thumb over right for males, right thumb over left for females, like something like that. And for
Mm-hmm.
me it's drawing a blank of like what's the clear precise which one is on top of the other, but that is a
Yes.
thing. And what this is exuding is trying to get us into a balance. Let's say sometimes we're more in, as women, we might be more in our, just doing too much, you know, in our, or in a battle, in a feud, or in some kind of relationship where we're like, oh, for the male component side of ourselves, we know that we could use some healing
Mm-hmm.
or sending them that energy, some light within ourselves, our masculine energy, some light. So then we'll kind of plug into that with this hand posture and hopefully feel, because it's also like, as sometimes I say, is it what is that word that they use, like placebo,
Okay.
right? Because it's like, how do we know this is the button, right? Who thought of this? But they say, like, placebos are powerful too, because a mindset is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to tap into this
Yeah.
energy and trust and building this faith around our healings, there's something special about that. And I grew up like that, so it kind of makes sense how I ended up in this realm of encouraging people to heal this balanced side of themselves. So Shakti energy, we all love our mothers, we love our grandmothers, we know that they nourish us, they're the backbones of the family. There's so many sayings around it, right? Not to take away what our, divine masculine, our brothers do for the world and for the whole, but there's a big prayer, there's a big mantra around divine feminine, and it probably does come up in yoga a lot, because maybe we are the hardest at praying. I don't know, I'm still surfacing what that answer is along with you,
Okay.
but there's really no difference, other than like logistical wise, right? Kundalini is Kundalini, divine feminine energy is like, that's interesting because I was studying comedic science earlier around physical body, spiritual body, and
Mm-hmm.
they're saying the word ab, so the madutneter ab, ab, it means heart, but then it, so they're like, okay, it means the physical heart, but it also means a middle interior, and that could be the middle of something, like maybe I'm
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of writing my book. So then it's like, it also means sense, it also means wisdom, it means understanding and intellect, it also means the mind, and then they said it also means thirst,
Interesting.
because
Okay.
the heart desires, it's not like drink natural, like so literal. And I feel that way around what Shakti can be. And I really love Kundalini for the fact that it encourages our creative imagination around this way of life for us, so that we're trusting the energy, because it's like we can't see inside ourselves necessarily, especially even if we cut our bodies open. You don't see Kundalini, you just know that it's there. So it takes a lot of faith and imagination. um so yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. All right. Good. Very good answer. How can the Kundalini energy help us heal and grow as spiritual beings, like on our spiritual path?
Oh.
Because
Whew.
it's so many
Hmm.
well, all yoga is spiritual, but the Kundalini yoga especially,
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
so many spiritual I want to say moving parts to it. You know,
There
it's
is.
a science all its own. So how does that
Mm-hmm.
can it help us heal and grow?
Mm-hmm. Just being a testimony to myself, I grew
Uh-huh.
up in, born in the late 70s, grew up in the 80s in LA. It was pretty rough, like,
Hmm.
and having gone through certain things and having your parents utilize vices that were harmful, and realizing at 18, like, I'm gonna take this elective class, and that's how I kind of got into yoga is in college, and Kundalini specifically. It definitely healed stuff very fast, and
Hmm.
that's when I took it to my neighbors and people who were on hard drugs. Like,
Hmm.
this is something that can eliminate addictions. This
Hmm.
is something that can fix you know, brain stuff, hormonal imbalances, by doing stuff around meditation and certain postures. You start sweating a certain way, and your focus is on your crown chakra, your pituitary and your pineal. Those are organs. They call them glands to dumb them down. Those are organs. It's like, why call it a gland? It's a big deal. Those two things work to help um, 8 of our hormonal systems that work all throughout our bodies. And back in the day, they say it used to be the size of a golf ball, and now in our beings, it's a size of a dried pea, not even a plump cooked pea, a dried pea. And so Kundalini can water this. Native ways can water this. We can have a sweat lodge. Like, there's many things that we don't have access to anymore. It's a lost thing. Um, some of these ways, I mean, as far as native ways, was even outlawed until 78.
True.
And you know, Kundalini, it was probably also, I mean, I've been in spaces where I've gotten penalized to, like, because I was practicing yoga also myself, which is a little weird. um
Indeed, yeah.
you know, just being um teaching this in what is it, like prisons, teaching in prisons, and they didn't want me. I don't know, maybe they got a little spooked out around the spiritual realms. I've taught in gyms where they told me less spiritual, more physical, and then I quit. But
You
then the people are like,
exactly.
where are you going? And I'm like, I can't
No,
be here.
right. That's not what yoga's about. You can't separate the spiritual from it and physical. And when I went to school, the yoga teacher training, the woman who ran the yoga school, she came and talked to the group one day, and she said that you all do know that this is yoga. This is not aerobics, right? Were looking, and she said we are not going to separate the spiritual from the physical
Good.
because they go together. So you can't. But that's what some people are afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual, or just the word spiritual, them means evoke something
Right.
spooky in their minds, or the chanting. Like some people I've invited to my yoga classes, and a few times people have said to me, "Oh, I don't do that chanting and stuff." And I'm like, "Well, we don't chant in my class. Have you ever been to yoga before?" And they'll say no. So they're hearing things, and other people are telling them, things. And I mean, only
Oh, I
chanting
have a lot of people.
own, you know, and it's so many misconceptions, and they don't even want to delve
Mm-hmm.
into giving it a try.
Right.
But it's interesting you mentioned about how it can help people with addictions and things, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just one of many benefits from it. And
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned about the pineal gland at one time used to be larger. So can you actually help it to grow? Because I know
I mean,
that
that's the goal that is not spoken, right? It's just not spoken of how to nourish. You know, we're not taught in health. We're taught about sex right away. We're not taught about, you know, how to care for your organs.
right,
Not
exactly.
necessarily. You know, they say, oh, don't have high cholesterol, and that's about it. But then sell everything that gives you high cholesterol on every corner. So they're very hypocritical out there in the world. But, you know, I think being learning new vocabularies and people being able, like you said, having access now that this interwebs is happening. Um, we're
Mm-hmm.
building vocabularies, bringing back dialects, even encouraging people who will come to my yoga class
Mm-hmm.
and they won't want to chant. I'll have like 10, 15 people in there. It'll be like two people chanting with me. And but once I that's why I had to kind of observe and switch it up, because once I break down, we have our nerve endings at every open part of our bodies. So the
Yeah.
tops of our heads, our ears, everywhere that's open, the palms of our hands, the bottoms of our feet, our anal rectum, sacred spaces, our belly button. But the main nerve endings, the most nerve endings in our body is in our mouth.
Oh, okay.
And so just by talking, we are healing our nervous system. We're tending to our nervous system. But that's
Mm-hmm.
why they say words sound power. And also, English is a little different. So Sanskrit will say Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. There's a lot of vibratory sensations. And we're also
Yes.
saying Namo, Namo, where so we're putting our tongues on the roof of our mouths. And also like Ong Namo Guru Dev Namo, ONG, not Om. We're doing Ong because
Oh.
we're like when you're having to move your mouth in certain ways, these are exercises, these are massages, these
Mm-hmm.
are, and we don't speak like that. And we're like, in English, we're just like, blah, 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 blah. It's a little different when it comes to even just in, native dialects, like for beauty in my language, you say hojo,
Mm-hmm.
hojo, like, in other dialects, you're saying wopila, like thank you. So that's different than hello. Hello.
Yeah.
You're
I,
not really making those clicks and those tones and those vibrations. It's a little different. But once I express that, I start getting more people to say things because they want to tend to their nervous system. They paid their way, they came,
mm-hmm.
they showed up, drove in traffic, whatever they did, or even hopped online. They're taking their time, so they're getting more comfortable with chanting. But it's important for me to break that down so they can do
Yes.
the necessary things. I had people come back once the pineal pituitary story. They were like, I want to water my pituitary. I
Mm-hmm.
want to water my pineal. Can I come to your clinic? I'm going to come back. When's your next one? And that's really positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that about the chanting, because little do they know that chanting is an important part of, should be a part of our daily lives, because um sound is frequency, and frequency and
Right.
vibration helps with creating energy around us, and also
Yeah.
with healing. And English doesn't hold, somebody told me English doesn't hold the essence of mantras very well, so it's better to chant your prayers or mantras, or whatever sacred sounds in other languages, because they told me that the other ancient languages hold vibration, and um, they have a higher
Mhm.
frequency.
It makes sense just because of the tones alone, and I mean the
Yes.
words are words. So English carries weight because yeah, if you're positive, it's positive, but it's an added additional component when you have the tones that are also bringing in more chi to your being. And then you got the vibrational medicine right there that is sometimes left out in English. But yeah, even Ong Namo Guru Dev Namo, we say it 3 times, and we say it the first time to call in the energies that are reside outside of us. So we're paying homage, like gratitude. Ong Namo is reverence, or I bow down to. And then Guru Dev Namo. So Guru, a lot of time people think it's a teacher, and they're like, "Oh, teacher, I don't need a teacher." It goes both ways. They want a teacher, they don't want a teacher. I don't need no guru, but Guru is a teacher, and Guru really means it really means Good is your shadow self, and Ru is your light self. So that's where they got the word hue from Ru. So, and then together, it's a teacher, right? So that's kind of like a play on words that people don't know because they don't study dialects. Maybe languages is taken out. You go to high school and they're teaching you Spanish or French. Maybe Mandarin. maybe Italian. I don't know. But, they sell it to you back when it's like, you just, it's hard to get it these days. Now a lot of people are teaching Sanskrit, but you could just learn some chants. Like I learned Sanskrit just through chants, and I probably know Sanskrit the most now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh, I feel like I know Sanskrit better than English, but when you say that 3 times, you're saying it once, paying
Mhm.
homage, give thanks. I bow down to all the energy that surrounds me and outside of me. Then you also say, the second time is the intention of I am in gratitude and full reverence of the energies that reside inside of me. And then the third time, we're calling in the harmony of them both. So that's our tune in chant. And that's for everybody. If any Kundalini yoga teacher don't do that chant,
Right.
they're just on a different level. They came up with something else that's different. But I think that alone is very powerful. I've never seen no Kundalini yoga teacher that doesn't know to open the way like that.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that. That's was the part of each one, and then some others I remember like Satnam.
Yes, Satnam is it means it's a greeting. So a lot of times if I run into like another Kundalini yoga teacher will say Satnam. It's like
Mhm,
a greeting. It means one truth is your identity. So that's how
mhm.
you'll greet each other.
Oh,
Imagine if we're in English, we're like we're like truth is your identity, sister. That's
yeah.
like very beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, greetings in other languages are beautiful, like namaste. And I always end my class with namaste, but just the meanings of different languages, how people greet each other with peace be unto you, or I
Right.
see you, or I recognize you, or I honor you, things like that. So it's very what's the word? Very affirming and
Yes.
expressing goodness and kindness towards the other person.
Right.
Hmm. Hmm. How can we use? What do you suggest? Ways to use the Kundalini as a daily practice.
Okay. So if you just can start off with 3 minutes a day of meditation, there's also like, you can pick a chant. A lot of times they do sadhanas. So they say like 40 days. And that's a little hard. I've done a few
Mhm.
offerings of 40 days, and I'll start off with like 20 people and I'll probably get 2 people who finish. But
Mhm.
I feel called for this school opening so that I'm more consistent. So then I encourage others to be more consistent because, um, yeah, once you say you have a school, you're a little bit more, right, just committed.
Yeah.
So I feel good about expanding that horizon for us all, like not only for myself but my family, but for community and others in the world that can like use this technology to their benefit. A lot of things that Kundalini will do will sometimes we're like have this weird focus at our tip of our nose, so we're feeling cross-eyed. Eyes are 1/10 open. The breath is a certain way. Our arms over here, our legs over here, and people are like, "That's a lot of focus. Like, I don't know what I'm doing." And they're like, "I'm messing up." And it's like it's a practice. Well, really, it's
Right.
a ritual. There's no
Right.
wrong way. You can't mess this up. We're in here, cheeing up. So this is just where we're at in the ritual so that when you're in the world you're going to be able to feel invincible because you've already worked so hard on these ways, and you're also like you get more in your body so you feel stronger
Hmm. Absolutely.
mentally and physically, spiritually, so
Hmm.
you're covered after so long. Really it's made me pretty strong. Like I don't look like I'm
Good.
strong, I'm already 5'1", but once I get in there I'll have like sometimes I've had police come to my class, which I'm not really about that life, but like it's interesting seeing them not being able to hold their arms up. I mean, a lot of them, I can't say all of them are in shape, but it's just interesting to see.
Hmm.
That's when I teach at gyms, but I'm really not in those spaces anymore. But I'm pretty strong,
Hmm.
and it's like utilizing those certain muscles, and that cells are regenerating.
Yes.
So that's like very potent to know that you can restore, you
Mm-hmm.
know, DNA, repair, memory, all of these things that are important, I feel, to move forward and try to, you know, some folks don't want to live longer, some folks do. So you can have a kind of a choice if you want to really tackle this on as a practice. But there's small, you can start small, you can dive in and go in and come to a regular class, find your
Mm-hmm.
teacher online or in person that you can go to. You can get a book.
Yeah.
um, there's a lot of decent books out there. Definitely there's books that hold weight with Kriya's. My thing is just like some of these books with the information as far as cosmology goes and
Mm-hmm.
theories are maybe outdated, but the exercises and the postures are going to heal you right up and help you expand, and you'll feel it.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. All right. Well, so this has been like really, truly enlightening. I haven't had this um level of conversation about Kundalini before, so I have learned a
Okay.
lot this evening, and it's
Mhm.
just, it's a powerful system, and I really would like to see more people use it, and those that need it the most. I think
Right.
it's not as popular amongst, it seems, our community, and people of color, and I think that is definitely under, I mean, not, what's the word, it's not,
Common.
huh,
It's not common.
right, and it's not utilized enough because it's very, very
Right.
powerful.
Yes.
It really is. Can you share with the listening audience your contact information? I did put your Instagram
Okay.
handle in the description, but if someone wants to learn more about Kundalini or your classes, how can they reach you?
Yes, right now I'm based mostly on Instagram. I'm working on a website because I'll be opening a school soon. So just kind of stay in contact with me
Yes,
there
yes.
for all the updates. I do have a link tree. So the link tree will go to my courses that are available. Um, yeah, there's some links there around that or retreats
Mhm.
or whatever's coming up. I do have a lot of course building right now, especially the teacher training. I'm very excited about building that up and having a few books. One will be ebook, and another one will be like available in the ebook and also hard copy. I'm excited about that, but mainly
Okay.
Instagram right now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thankful to the social media world right now.
Thanks for that. Give thanks. Give thanks. Well, thank you, sister, for joining. And we don't, so far tonight, we don't have any questions in the chat. So I'm gonna end
Okay.
with well, hold on, don't go away yet. I'm gonna end with the meditative thought of the week. I like to end
Okay,
show with
beautiful.
that. So tonight's meditative thought of the week is Kundalini energy is a complex topic, as we have no words in the English language to describe such. In short, the Kundalini is the primordial energy laying dormant within us. We can activate this subtle yet powerful energy through breath, work, yoga, meditation, and our spiritual growth and development. It is our goal to achieve higher states of consciousness, and the Kundalini energy can help us to achieve that. So, with that said, until next time, family of light, join us on Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Wednesdays at 9, right here on my YouTube channel. And remember, beloveds, your light in the darkness. May you be surrounded and filled with love, peace, abundance, good health, and happiness. Until next time, peace and love.
Thank you. Peace and love. Satnam.